And this barn right here behind me sits a low mile 1978 25th anniversary Chevrolet Corvette. And it's been parked and off the road for 37 years, almost 4 decades. Guy brought some tires, a little toolbox, a couple parts, and you know what I want to do. I'm going to try to get this thing running and drive it all the way home. Let's get a peek at it. Well, here it is, a beautiful silver 25th anniversary edition Corvette that's been untouched for 37 years. Now in 78, you didn't have to get the anniversary edition. There were 3 models available. You could just get a base model. You can get a replica Indy 500 pace car, or you can get the two-tone silver anniversary, and then you had 3 interior options or flavors to choose from as well. Now, there are a cajillion 70s Corvettes out there, I'll give that to you. They are everywhere now. They're still very sought after, and 78s are one of them that's really up there. But you know me, I like the stories behind the cars. And this one has one. It belongs to a very good friend of mine, or did, and he knows the history of the car, all the way from about 1980. His grandma bought it. His grandma had it for years, barely ever drove the thing. And then his mama inherited the car, and it sat in her garage forever until he finally picked it up and scooped it into this barn years and years and years ago. And it's just been sitting here, obviously. So I want to get this thing back to its former glory days. We're going to do that on a budget. We're not going to throw a bunch at this thing. We're going to do the minimum to get this running and driving. And I'm going to jump behind the wheel, try to drive this thing back home. It's going to be a lot of fun. First, let's take a gander around this car and try to figure out exactly what we've got and what it's going to take to put this Corvette back on the road. So I think what a guy's going to do here is start off with an exterior inspections. Really shouldn't see a lot. We know it's not going to rust. It's all fiberglass. But we'll see if there's any damage or things like that. Try to check out the paint. It's going to be really cool to see what's hiding underneath all of this dirt, dust, and bird matters. Then we'll jump on the interior, see what we got going on the inside, and then get this hood popped and see which one of the 2 flavors we have, engine-wise, and then we can start figuring out what we're going to have to throw at it in terms of parts and doodads, and see if we can get this thing running relatively quickly. It is real feel 109 outside, and I've already soaked through my shirt. It's probably 120 in this barn, if not more. It is extremely hot, so I may even end up sliding this more towards the front of the barn somehow. There is a side-by-side right here. I got my pickup. Find a chain, or maybe even outside, because it is terribly hot. I feel like I'm in an easy bake oven, but it ain't easy baking Sasquatches. Let's start over here. So again, if you're not familiar with the 25th anniversary edition of the Corvette flavor here, it's got this really nice 2-tone paint on her. This one's a little dirty. I'll give you that. But it's got like a silver on the top, and then I believe they called it charcoal on the bottom. And it looks sharp when they're cleaned up, you know what I mean? Both the tires on this side are low on wind, and they are in terrible, terrible shape. I did bring some tires, so if we get this running, we could go into town or something and get them swapped out. This one's all the way down. She's only flat on the bottom. Maybe some wind would fix it, something. Probably not. This thing is just packed full spider nests and all sorts of creatures, ants. Doesn't look like the rear's been smacked before. You usually see cracks throughout here on the rear cone, but this one looks nice and solid. Not seeing any evidence of a crash there, maybe a boo-boo on that corner, a small one. These are normally stuck up, the old antennae. That's still rocking. It's pretty good. Still got a gas cap. That's great news. I'll just leave that up actually. Here's the license plate. Alabama from May of 1987. I was just a child when this thing was put up. That's just incredible. It should be in really good shape overall. Barely used. Got some paint coming here. And it looks like the gray primer underneath, which would be period correct. It's got the tops. Those aren't glass, that's painted. I don't see any damage. No boo-boos from jacks underneath the rocker panels, anything like that. I think these are different tires. These are like Optimum Regulator 7000s. Oh, that one's different than that one. They don't look like the right size either. They're way too tall, but we'll get that fixed up. Nose cones on these were also always beat up, because when you're sitting in this thing way in there behind the wheel, even like when you pull into your home garage, it's an optical illusionals. A guy or a gal can't see nothing. The front end is so long, you're sitting way back on the axle. So it's really common to have these bumped into just about anything and everything, including every single car at the grocery store, the bank, all of that. This one's not too bad. A little bumper scratch there. The bumperette things have been handled a few times. Well, I guess Grandma did get into some stuff, okay? I'm gonna be honest. But she did pretty darn good. The headlight covers are level. For the most part, also pretty rare. This one's a little bit sunk in, but most commonly they're way in there. Looks like the decals probably coming off there. We got some more very thin paint coming off on the fender tops over here as well. That's all right. I bet it's still going to clean up really well. The glass, from what I can tell, is in really good shape. That one seems fine. Obviously the sides are okay. Of course, it's hard to see any cracks, but there isn't any big damage. So overall, this thing's looking pretty sharp on the outside. Gotta be honest. We got the little chin spoiler on it still. Well, let's get after it. Let's crack the door on this thing, see what the interior's looking like, and ultimately pop this hood. One of the cooler features of these cars, well, until they break, is the door handle. Whoop! Oh, thought it might be locked for a second. You always got to give them, but then the rods bend and whatnot. Anyway, oh wow. Okay, yep, there it is. Here we are. Boo! Oh, I don't even have to breathe it in hard. It's like an armadillo shell full of wet cardboard, potato peelings with a really heavy low tone of mice feces. Oh wow. This one's really bad. I can see John Boy just pitched a bunch of air fresheners in here, but that doesn't work, buddy, unless you get the stuff that's smelling out of it. Help me. I want to open the other door too. It needs air. And it's so hot in here. Oh, I feel it entering my skin, I think. Oh, I think that's the title right there, but mice have eaten it. Okay, just wait a minute. And is that a CB radio? All right, we're gonna wait a half a minute. Now we're gonna come in and look at this. Needs work. Needs work. It's maroon. Needs work. Well, it's been sitting for a while, airing out. We're just gonna have to get it done. Let's get in here. This is supposed to be fairly low mile. I am seeing some wear on these seats though. Right there. Not the end of the world. And that's the sweat from my forearm actually. But the door cards don't look that bad. Sill doesn't look that bad. Carpet, not terrible. Heel pad, not terrible. And the mileage, well, let's take a look. 60,584. That ain't bad. Little high mileage for a Corvette, but for a GM vehicle, not bad at all. Look at this. When's the last time you saw that? GM CB radio stereo player. Center console gauges. I always thought those looked really good. So this would be tilt and telescoping. This guy here. Oh, look at the clean column underneath of it. Nice little anniversary badge on the wheel. Some air fresheners John Boy must have thrown in here. Visors look okay. Those plastics hung in there. Got some boom booms back here. Got some bead seat covers. That brings the value up, doesn't it? Probably not. Bunch of paperwork and stuff. I think that's a title. You can see the mice have just been really getting after this car, unfortunately. Hopefully they're not in the wiring. That would not be goodly. Well, the Velcro is still Velcroing. Let's get over to the other side, see if we can find some documents. I actually know what this is. My buddy set this in here for me. It's a title that's unsigned, we'll have to work on, and mice have been chewing on it, and the new title law that went into effect in 2010, where they're no longer titling vehicles 35 years or older. So I got to get a bill of sale from him. So he set that in here for me. And then this must be all of his mama's, yep. Or his grandma's stuff. House blend, huh. Tobacco? Yep, sure enough. Some old paperwork. What is it? Tie bar, hood panel, headlamp, front bumper repaint. $152 to paint a front bumper. That ain't bad. $2,700, they put $500 down. $2,700 in work in 1979. Wow, that's cool. We'll keep that. So no wonder the body looks pretty decent. Oh, here's a second page to that. Water pump, fan shroud, AC conditioner, left front fender, cowl grill, transmission lines, frame, $12. I wonder what that was. Huh. Radiator core, $156. And that is continued. I'm assuming that's the date. Ha! Look at that. I wonder if that's Mama. I'm going to put this to the side for my friend, just in case. So that must be the same date as this. So this should go with that. Got some film. Mice didn't like that. Got some old registration cards. Richard Kelly Chevrolet. Some dealership document or something. Boy, the floors are just a mess down here. Looks like got a battery in 1980. That's probably when Grandma got it. I think he said it was 80. Oof. I wonder if he's got a shop vac I can ruin. Or maybe I gotta run and get another one or something. That's pretty much it for paperwork. I'll get what's ruined out of here in a minute at some point. But let's pop the hood, see what's under that bad boy. There's 2 flavors. So these rigs here would have came with 2 different engine heartbeat flavors. Boop, boop, the L48 or its higher horsepower brother, the L82. If you want to have a really quick argument with the Corvette enthusiasts, just talk about that. Hey, is your L82 really an L82 or is it just a 48? Hang on, you're going to be there a while. Better tie up your tennis shoes, okay? So, I mean, some people say the VIN is the easiest way. If the 5th letter is an 8, you got an L82. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mine says 8. According to that theory, this is going to be an L82, which is rarer than hen's teeth in a lane 2. So I don't think that's going to be the case. Some say just look at the valve covers. They should be finned. Others say, well, duh, it's the aluminum intake. Then there's just the people that say, well, does it say L82 anywhere on the car, like a badge? Some say you have to decode the stamp on the front of the head, and it goes on and on and on. I just like to hook my papers on it and just let it feel. L48. Sweet. That'll barely turn the tire. So if we're just peeking in here really quick, I could see basic corporate blue valve covers, a cast intake. There's nothing to me that says this should be an L82. I believe there's also a rumor that the L82s were required to have a smog pump because of the higher horsepower. I'm not saying that either. So I think this is just a very base model anniversary car, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. I am seeing a lot of originalage in here. I mean, it has not been monkeyed with much at all. You've got the boot over the lightning whirler still. The heat riser pipe is still on it. You got a very old upper radiator hose on it. Super old Gates belt. AC pump still hooked up. None of that's hacked out of here. Probably have to slide over on that side and look for mouse chews. But it's all here. We've got completage, which is great. Yeah, I mean, I could see, well, Delco Air, I believe that was replaced. We saw it on that receipt as well. I mean, everything is here. All the way down to the light switch. All the vacuum wires and lines is in here. Even the engine coolant only cap is still intact. Really was not monkeyed with. And I'm seeing service tags under the hood all over the place. Air cleaner under the hood. So it was taken care of in maintenance before it was, parked for eternity. Now, I don't even know if this engine rotates. I'm going to be completely honest. And the likelihood of me getting a wrench on that crankshaft is not good. We may try to use the charger whirler before we just jump to the whole, let's just throw a battery in it and bam! Hope that nothing breaks routine. You know what I mean? Do we even have a key? All good, the key is in it. Kind of got ahead of myself there. Okay, so that's good news. Wow. Oh, there is a brown recluse spider right there. That's one we do not want to play around with much at all. Let's move it. Come on, buddy. Get on there. Come on. Oh, he's quick. He went down there. Okay. Had a friend in high school. Lost her leg to one of them bad boys. Let's get some brake clean. Start cleaning some stuff in here. Most likely brown recluses. And start disassembling this a little bit. Just so we could see what's going on underneath. Take a look at the lightning hoses, the fuel make it happener. See if we can get this engine to rotate before we get too carried away. If this thing is stuck, we might have to go back, get a car trailer, get it back to Vice Grip Garage, and then dig into the thing. Are the world's largest hornets back here? Sounds like it. Guys got to be careful not to mess the paint up any further, but I'm going to clean these tops of these fenders off a little bit with these wipes. Otherwise, I'm just going to get covered in all this stuff anyway. This is cleaning up a little bit, and the compressed air is also blowing some of this out of here. And the cold and smell is the eviction notice to all the little creatures. I'll take some of these bad boys. Come on now, time to go work. Ooh, lemon. Is this different? I think that's a different smell than I'm used to. Oh, they're boiling hot. Been out in the sun. I know some of you are cringing right now. You're scratching the paint. Well, I'll show you in a second, but there ain't no paint left up here. Man, that dirt is thick. Should have been putting this all in a bucket and we could just sprinkle this barn dust in something else. It's valuable. You know what I mean? I put it on that Jungle website. $800 a pound. Man, the smells, all this stuff mixing it's making me woozy, I gotta be honest. It's not good. Woo! The more I spray this, the better the car looks, though. This is starting to look like a big block. Maybe it is an L82. First thing I should do actually is get online. I gotta order a storyboard about this car. 4 foot by 9 foot with neon lights that go around it. A matching chair and windbreaker jacket. So if we get this running, I can set up outside the barn here, you know. Let the neighbors come by. Check it out. By the way, big thanks to John Boy, my buddy. I actually bought this car, I don't even know, 2 years ago or something. And it's been sitting here. He's been very kind not to touch it or push it out back or anything like that. So I appreciate it, buddy. I owe you some ribs, some cold snacks. So I think a guy's gonna start by taking the old horsepower reducer off. Lid ain't even flipped on it. That's how you know a kid didn't own this thing. That way we can better see what in the world is going on and work towards getting this motor to rotate. This looks pretty clean. Well, take that back. It's just yellowed paper from sitting. Some needles in here, pine needles. How does this work? I've never actually seen one of these left on, so. Oh, I see it. That's pretty neat. Kind of like a zip tie. There's the old boggulator. Bop, bop. Performance, bop, bop. Quadra bogs are actually really good. They're just very misunderstood. And this one is not locked up. How can that be? It's full of stuff though. Ooh, that was pretty stuck. Okay, well that's good so far. Full of daddy long legs in here. Lots of them. So this is what I was saying about the paint. If you get really close, it's all spider web cracked up. It's in tough shape. So that's okay though. I'm just saying don't get angry at me if I set tools up here or keep leaning on it. You can see my forearms are already doing a good job cleaning it up. So here's a closer look at what we got going on. All the vacuum lines are still hooked up, everything like that. Of course, you got the Quadrajet in there. That seems to be fine. Cruise control is all set up still. Not even going to touch this. We know what's going to happen with that. Looks like a remanufactured sticker there, quality control sticker. So it's had that as well, and I think I read water pump on that receipt. And I'm seeing 50 gallons of goop. So I think all the accessories have been replaced. Maybe not the power steering pump, but you know, it's had some maintenance for sure. These aren't original clamps. This isn't the original Gates upper hose, but it is an older one. I don't know if those are date stamped or not. I don't think so. Anywho's, I'm gonna get a croissant wrench or a socket if I can on this, and if we hold this tight enough, we might be able to rotate the water pump and thus the crankalizer, the old torque twister down there, and see if this engine still rotates after 37 years sitting. And if it does, we'll keep moving forward. So this is a big moment for us. So I think what I'm gonna do here, so I just have more accessibility, is actually back his gator out of the way, and I'll back my pickup truck, get that tailgate right up here, and then I'll have all my tools and everything on board so we can save 50,000 steps going back and forth here. Just got the keys in it, it does. You gotta pump it. Oh, look at that. I think a guy's gonna get some of this dust and dirt out of here. So I'm not kicking it up the whole time. I'm sure we're going to be doing brakes at some point, so. All right, guy's gonna take his breaker bar here, throw it up on the charging whirler. Ooh, would you hear that? It's rotating, but it is crunchy. Oh, I think that might have been it. Yep. Boy, I didn't really like the way that sounded. And now it's not wanting to. There it goes a little bit more. Come on. There it went. It's going. Okay, that's good news. Very good news. So being how crunchy this one sounded, it didn't sound good. 37 years is a very, very long time for any engine to sit. And I've pushed it before. 15 years, we've just fired them off. But I don't want to do that to this one. But this is going to be a little tricky. How the Corvette lightning hoses are ran is actually down and under. So seeing their orientation and getting them back correctly and tracking them and tracing them again to get the correct firing order is going to be a nightmare. Also getting any juice into them, let alone the sparkulators out, is going to be a battle, especially over here on the captain's side. There's little to no room, and that heat plate riser is also in the way, but I think it's something we're going to have to do. Got a piece of tape up on my toolbox here, and I'm just going to write, 1 through 8, and then I'll tear these off in pieces. And if I get my hand down there on the lightning hose, we'll mark them up that way, so at least we have some sort of idea where they go back. And hopefully we're not taking them off of the lightning whirler back here and then having to trace them all the way back and around. The guys got updates, and as expected, this was way more difficult than it should be, and something I really wasn't looking forward to, but we're getting there. We got the heat shield off here, and all this garbly gook goes up to this thing, and that runs a little flapper on the exhaust. That's pretty much all that does. But I got all the lightning hoses labeled on this side. Still don't have the sparkulators out, but I did sneak in the Lone Wolf 6000 while I was down there, just to get that done and out of the way. I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to this side before I pull the sparkulators out on this side. We're gonna have a similar issue over here. We got a big heat shield that essentially wraps the whole back of the manifold, and I'm not even sure if I got enough extensions and angularizations and all of that to even get to that. But we're gonna see what we can do with some basic hand tools here. Looks like some 1/4 inch doodads on top of the riser here. 9/16 on the side. And then 2, probably 7/16 more towards the rear. Should make up this unit here. Not even sure if it's worth putting this back on. Don't need much of a heat riser down south, although the originality is pretty cool. But colder air makes more horsepower. Facts. Okay. Get this side bolt off. Oh, is that a 1/2 inch? Isn't that what I grabbed? No. I said 9/16. That's okay. There we go. Well, guys, getting there on this side. I got the bigger piece off, and then I absolutely honked my finger. So I can't reach in there anymore with my right hand, which is going to limit me a little bit. Not even sure what I got it on down there. It had to have been like the sharp edge on the bottom or something. But I'll keep fighting with my left arm. I got the front 2 labeled. Just got to get back to the rear 2 there, and then we can start trying to take the sparkulators out. Yo, it's your homie Sasquatch Ice. Arch, 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 wiggle, wiggle, arch. Now, the Scott Rag shop towel bandana is to keep the sweat somewhat from running into my eyes and blinding me. It is slowing down. Finally, severe dehydration and heat stroke has set in. You can also tell by the color of my skin. So the sweat is slowing, which is turning my soak shirt into a cool shirt, finally. It's just part of the dilution process. I'm gonna keep going though. I'm just faint enough to keep working. Perfect. Gonna get the old sparkulator socket out. Let's go ahead and get the sparkulators out now. And I'm gonna juice this thing down, and then we can decide, are we gonna let it sit overnight, or are we gonna wait just a little bit and hit it again? We could come back this evening or in the morning when it's not 137 degrees in here. That would probably be good, but anyway, let's just pop them out for now, and we'll see how this engine was running when it was parked 37 years ago. See if I can even reach any of these. This is what I was afraid of. It's that perfect size where it's not a short socket, it's like a runt socket extension. I don't have anything like that with me. Okay. Number 1, coming out, Bay 2. Oh yeah, it's always just me. Okay. Boy, this red liquid is everywhere, all over the vacuum hoses and water neck. Boy, yeah. Oh, an old school AC. So AC Champion became a thing in when was that? It was late 70s, right? So these are probably the original plugs. That is really cool. I'll show you some here in a minute. Gotta keep the feet moving. Got to keep the feet moving. Well, the guy doesn't even want to tell you how long it took to get those 4 out. Now I'm on the way with these 4 over here. Maybe I can get these out a little faster. Probably not. More knives hanging down underneath the manifold. Perfect. And then we're going to have to run to town and get some juice for this and a couple other things. I need some water. I'm out. I've drank a whole case, which is usually about a year's worth for me. 2's coming out. Gotta find some super glue or something. Never see that again. Great. Grand. Same story. Well, the guy did get all of the sparkulators out, and the great news is they all look consistently bad. They're all fouled and they're very old. So let's run to the town. We'll get some juice, some accoutrements for me, some sparkulators. I think the lightning hoses are probably fine. A couple other doodads, and then we'll come back and get after it. Well, the guy's back. Got me a bendy, tubey funnel thing and some mystery oil. I don't know what's in it. It's a mystery, but we're going to use it. But before we juice this thing, to reduce how much it looks like a Murder, She Wrote scene, I'm going to get this on the level first, because she's got some tilt in her, you know what I mean? But if we're going to do that, we might as well get this on jack stands, and if we're going to do that, we might as well take the tires and wheels off, because the other 2 are out of wind, and they're all just weather checked. Really, really bad. We ain't going to make it home on them if this thing runs. So let's go ahead and switch gears, jack the whole car up, get all the paws off, then we'll juice. Okay, gonna take the old Tubulator Bendo Flex 9000 funnel here and try to finesse this down to the sparkulator hole and then throw this mystery substance in. If this doesn't work, we got 2 other options. One, we can just throw it right down the app. Yep, right down the fuel and make it happen here. We just have to be sure to rotate the engine a little bit. Try to get all of the intake valves to open at least once, dumping this juice in. So every cylinder gets a splash. The other option is lift the car up vertically on its front bumper so it's straight up and down, and just pour it in the exhaust pipe. Anyway, let's try it this way first. See how much of a mess we can make. I let my friend know this was happening, and he replied with, "There's sawdust in the corner room." He's seen me work. He knows what's about to happen, unfortunately, on this beautiful concrete. Sorry to the lady of the house. Oh. Okay. Keep working my way around. So far, so good. See, this cylinder is up, so it's not going to take as much Flava Flav. I think I guessed just right. No, it's bad. It's real bad. Sorry about that. This will help lubricate the rings, get some of that rust where it's stuck, all the parts in there freed up. And when we go to crank this thing, it's going to lubricate the cylinder walls so we're not running this dry and scarring them up really bad. That's the hope and intention anyway. All right, let me get this side figured out. All the Rotors rotate except the passenger side rear, which is really, really good news. Downside news matter is calipers and rubber lines look original. So that's most likely going to be something we're replacing. Speaking of, a guy should probably juice those fittings right now. Juice. Juicing stuff. I don't know what comes off. Must be that big thing. Slide pin here. It's slow, kind of tedious, but we're making progress. And juice up the throttle assembly as well. Well, we're kind of at two stopping points here. One, for that mystery oil to work, I don't know what's in it. It's a mystery, but it needs to sit, cook. I think now's a good time. And I need to get those new tires that I got mounted on those wheels. So shops are closed right now anyway. It's late in the day. So I think we're going to let this sit overnight, let that cook and bake. I can come back tomorrow, maybe a little bit more prepared with a few more tools and things, with tires mounted on the wheels, and hopefully this engine will be nice and loose for us with that mystery oil in there cooking. But for night, that's going to do it with Freeda, the 78 Chevrolet Corvette. Freeda was Grandma's name. See you in the morning. Well, hello, darling. It's nice to see you. It's been just one night. You're just as dirty as I've ever seen. Oh, that didn't improve. Okay, good morning. We're back. Juice is soaked overnight. Swung by and got the old tires mounted up by the co-op. They done me good. They even washed off the blue protective coating stuff on the tires, but we're a long ways from that. Okay, so here's the deal. We're going to twist this thing over with the key, hopefully, but in order to do that, we need to have a fresh lightning cube, which is behind the seat there, which means we got to climb on the inside of the rig, which means no. That's not good. So we're going to get the shop vac out, which I actually brought my own because I didn't want to ruin these folks' vacuum. We're going to try to vacuum everything up we can, clean the interior just a little bit, make it habitual. Oh, that's frequency. Habitual. I need to go in it. Then we'll throw a lightning cube in, twist the key. Hopefully the mystery oil, I don't know what's in it, has done the thing. Yep. The old Mouse Sucker 500. Easy on the paint, man. Okay. This is our receptacle that's live around here. So whenever you're around mice, urine, and feces and their nests, you're in danger of something called hantavirus, which is a disease that incubates in your lungs, and depending on how healthy you are, give you a real bad cold, or, well, it could kill you, being honest. So what you really don't want to do is make it airborne, because that's how you breathe it in. So I'm not going to wear a mask and vacuum it, and see if we can fill this barn full of it. I don't know, put it all in red. Oh man, I forgot. I don't know how overnight I forgot how bad this was. This is right up there with the Barracuda, if not worse. Definitely top 3 smelliest vehicles we've ever picked up on the show. I brought some weaponry with us. I got some tools. We got things. We got abilities, essentially. feel like the other side is more worser. We don't need no antivirus. Dun, 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 dun. If we get this thing going down the road, we should run her through the car wash. Oof. Love it. Another old picture. Man, I love the history of these old cars. It's so interesting and neat. Someone go on dates, dinners, cruises. I'm sure Grandma took this to church, family events, barbecues, reunions. There was her going to town glasses. They're ruined, unfortunately. But I'll leave them out for my buddy. He may want them. Got the exhaust pointed away from me. Life is like a beaver colony. Just another D-word thing after another. Was never signed. Oof. I can't wait to see if the CB radio works. The old coffee grounds in the car did not work. I'm here to tell you. It is not often we find ourselves cleaning in this order. But when they're this terrible, a guy's got to do what a guy's got to do. Like the side of a TV or something. Looking a little better. Fresh cab. No, it is not. All right, I'm gonna climb in the back here. It's gonna disappear on you for a few. See what I can get done back there. Wish me luck. Well, it's getting a little better. Nope. Well, I mean a little. Yep. It's got an old battery in it. We're gonna have to swap that. My buddy said he did put one in it, but nothing happened. Door number 2. Nothing. Door number 3. Door number 3. Yeah, nothing. Okay, well that's pretty cleaned up, I guess. Seats look brand new. And center console, ain't nothing wrong with that. So, let's move on to trying to deodorize this thing a little bit. I got something. Here's what we got. So remember the Barracuda, Plymouth Barracuda? Cute little car. Need to get back on it, admittedly. Got some parts coming in. Father, son, worked with them down there. It was their vehicle. Super great people. Anyway, was cleaning the car out a little bit. The old timer scooted over there and said, "Hey, Derek." I said, "Yeah." "It's a little smelly in there." I said, "Yeah. My eyes won't blink anymore. They're infected." He says, "Well, I got something. Works great." He scooted off, came back, and he handed me this. And this isn't an advertisement. I ain't getting paid or anything fictitious like that. It's just since the beginning, if there's a product out there that works or I like, I'm honest about it, and I tell you. And he handed me this can. It's called Bull Snot. Nothing kills odors like bull snot. It's called Odor Eliminator. Anyway, I sprayed this in that Barracuda, same situation. and it worked surprisingly well. I wouldn't say completely eliminated the odor, but it was darn good. Good enough I could drive the thing, tell you that. And that is very hard to do in a situation like this. Well, kind of a cool story. I was in Nashville at the Power Tour stop, meeting folks, and the owner of Bull Snot swung into the tent there and says, "Hey, I saw you use your product. It's awesome." And I was like, "Yeah, I'd never heard of it, and it worked great. And what's it for? Like, well, I don't understand where it came from." And I guess he said truckers usually use this in like reefer trailers when they haul like fish, chicken, oysters, sardines. Cattle haulers use it. And it's not a fragrance. It's somehow chemically formulated to just actually kill the odor in the air. So when you spray this, bloop, dead. So I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of backstory on this. And anyway, I picked up a case, and they got some other stuff too, but I'm gonna start spraying this in here and see if we can just get this livable. I'm being super optimistic here that we're gonna drive this home. No idea if it runs, still don't know if the transmission works. I'm sure the brakes don't work, but it's already so much better. We can start by eliminating some of the odors in here. And I'll leave these doors open, and throughout the day, I'm just gonna be coming back in here and pss, pss, just like in the Barrapupa. We'll come back in time to time and start spraying this stuff. I am throwing this in my tote, and I'm carrying this stuff going forward, because it is one of the bigger challenges doing these is how do you even get home without wearing a respirator? And I'm not claiming that this kills germs. I have actually absolutely no idea. But the smell being better gives me confidence that maybe I'm not breathing super harmful stuff. I don't know if the guy was a bull rider or an auctioneer or something, but he's got some good marketing. This is hideable. It's a leather conditioner and cleaner, same company. I thought I'd try it. Holy Moses. It's a garden hose of aftershave. We'll soak down that seat. Get the other one. The seats are one of the largest surface areas. It's like sizzling. So if we can get the urine and fecal matter out of these, I think it's going to help tremendously. They're coming clean. I should probably have 7-foot leather gloves on with what was on the seat, but let me keep scrubbing, see what these end up looking like. Well, passenger side seat scrubbed down, tremendous difference, and it's smelling so much more tolerable in here. I didn't think I could hold my breath long enough to change the battery. Might get woozy and, pass out back there, but we're making it happen now. This snow-looking stuff is that odor eliminator. I'm just gonna let it sit in there. And I was thinking about it, if it's wettening up the dust, that's a great thing, because I don't want that too much more airborne than what we already did. I'll go scrub that seat down, then grab a battery, and we'll plop that in. It's cramped in here, but I'm just telling you, I'm taking out the battery. I think my buddy tried to put one in here, see if he'd get this thing running or something, but guy is so busy. He works his tail off. He actually works out of state, flies back and forth. And I can respect that tremendously, providing for his family. Doesn't have a lot of time. So we got this thing. I don't know where he got this. 90-day warranty. Well, I need it. It's doesn't work anymore. Junk. I think that's an Advance one. Let me get a better one. There is a specific one for C3s. No. This is the cheapest one possible you can get. It's a super start economy. To be honest, they kind of just don't even put them on the shelf, but they exist. Just trying to help you out. They are very, very affordable. And it's got the right posts on the right side. Okay. Let's put this in. Smell update. It's a little bit like a gift shop. There's a lot hitting me. Whew. Getting a little confused. But it's better than what it was. I'll tell you that much. Side posts. Why? Why did they ever do this? Someone was, oh, we got dome lightage. Startled me, it did. Someone was trying to validate their job, and I've got it. I'm gonna change the world by moving the post to the side. And then, of course, his friend was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, take that to the boss. Yeah, we need that today. And here we are, messing around with this junk. Is it stripped? My bolt's stripped, I think. Uh-oh, we might have to try to find a 3/8 bolt around here. Oh, great. Oh, it is so hot in here. Finger update. Survived, but it is shorter. Whoops. At least it ain't my fretting hand. I already can't feel that. So I need a battery bolt. Ain't got nothing with me. And there's not much of an assortment around here. So I'm over here on my pickup truck, the old standby, and got to looking at my battery. My sad post is pretty pinched together. See that? Which would give me the indication that if I loosen this, this would also be loose. But look at my positive side. This thing is barreled out. So I loosen that up with a wrench. And I'm just going to see. Yep. That's really nice and tight still. So now I could take this nut and this bolt, and I'll run the nut down on my bolt, jam this into the battery, then run the nut down and tighten the clamp on the side post. And we'll just forget about that until it comes loose eventually and fix it later. Okay, we got the battery installed. That's all bolted in. We got dome lightage. Let's twist the key forward. Your fan motor. Let's run a fire test. I like to just wait, see if anything gets melty, smoky. Better to do it now in your friend's barn than down the road. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we are good. Got a gen light. Tach went to 0. All the gauges seem to have fallen. You see batteries there. Fuel says over half a tank. Uh-oh. Clock doesn't work. Refund. All right, the moment of truth. I hear noise. I think that's the antenna. Yep, come on back. How do you change the channel? I can't believe this has a CB radio. Well, we'll have to monkey with that a little bit later. But it fires up. This stripped out. Oh, but we could manually. Man, if we could be talking to Cletus the whole way home, eastbound and down, I'd be all right with that. Okay, now that we got a battery and it's hot, we should be able to crank this thing over with the Lone Wolf. Now I have the key off. There's no sense in running ignition right now. All we're trying to do is rotate the engine over and force out all of the mystery oil that's in it. We still don't know what's in that. It's a mystery. So we don't need ignition at this juncture. And being we're jumping it, we're just taking 12 volt hot from the battery right to the solenoid on the starter. This should in fact rotate the engine. So this rotated over, and we should make a bloodbath here unless it's all soaked into the crankcase. Whoa! It's in my earlobes. Okay, I'm gonna say, not a mechanic or anything, but the engine seems to be rotating. Actually, very well. I'm gonna give the starter a break. I'm gonna do that about 5 or 6 more times. So we've flushed as much oil as possible. Then we have the painstaking task of putting the sparkulators back in, getting all the lightning hoses back together so we can see if we're actually getting any spark. Just out of curiosity, there's no way we're pumping fuel yet, is there? No. No squirter action. Nothing from the tank. That's going to be another fight. Perfect. Great. So I went in and got some new R45 TS. TS just is taper seat. And here's the old ones. They are the same sparkulator, essentially. Well, you got to go by the taper. But this is what's interesting is this one is an AC. And this one is an AC Delco. What's either further confusing is the AC Delco merger didn't happen until 1974, but this is a 78. So how did a later model car end up with plugs? That is interesting to say the least. But nonetheless, I think it's time we go ahead and change these. Because a lot of times I'll just run what's in there, but 37 years, let's just replace it. This is no doubt going to take me a long time walking in the spider webs. But leave a message, I'll call you back. Well, finally, all the sparkulators are back in, but before we get to cranking on this thing, I gotta run in and get some fresh gas. I think we're gonna pour some in the tank anyway. It says half a tank, but it could just be stuck there. We really don't know. I'm gonna put a little bit in, and just a very small chance the fuel still pulls from the tank. Most likely we're gonna have to drop the tank or at least clean out the sending unit, which is a bear on these C3s. Or we just might run a jug in the passenger seat. So I'm gonna go get some fuel, get a gas jug, get some fuel line, some clampulators, some odds and ends, some cold snacks. It's hot again today. And then we'll get back on this thing. We're very, very close to twisting the key on this and see if we can get it to bark off, make some noise. Hips! Guys, back. It is raining horses and alligators out there, or was, drove through it. And lightning and thunder. But it's clearing up now. Okay, so there is a 2.4% chance that this thing is going to pull fuel from the tank. But just in case, let's give it a shot. And if not, the good news is it can be really heavy when we have to drop this tank eventually. That's good. I am running out of time. I need to get myself home here pretty darn quick. So the fuel gauge said just a tickle over half. We can also see if that was working. And if it does have old fuel in it, it actually doesn't worry me that much. Fuel from 1987 is better than fuel today. And I've been in many cases where it'll run on that old fuel. Doesn't have all that ethanol and other junk in it. Brother runs in, failures on his head. I wonder what Tracy's doing today. I was drinking beer, listening to the radio. Hank Williams sings. Indian John. You know, time marches on. Okay, so now we should probably prime up the fuel make it happener. Well, first let's check to see if the gas gauge is working, then we'll prime up the fuel make it happener. And we're gonna see if this thing will make some noise after 37 years sitting here. I have not even popped the cap on the Lightning Whirler. It's an HE and an I. The likelihood of that being bad is, it's the most indestructible ignition system ever designed, period. It's not like the Ford Never Spark or the Mopar electronic ignition or whatever they want to call that mess. So it'll either fire or it won't. If it won't, then we'll troubleshoot. Basically is where we're at, okay? Good. There's the fuel gauge. Let's turn the key on. Oh, it did go up. Still going up. How does the fuel gauge work? Okay, so it's actually got a lot of fuel in it. So let's leave the key forward. We want the ignition on at this point. We're gonna dump some fuel right down the vent tube and see if we get this thing to fire. Using my mixed fuel here. Got a little bit of 2-cycle oil on her. Easier on these old fellers. I'm gonna fill this carb up in just the off chance the idle circuit's gonna wanna mix some fuel for us. Okay, that's full. A little right down the yap. That was way too much actually. Perfect. Okay, here goes something or nothing. I'm actually pretty nervous about this one. But it is a small block Chevy. Bring in the thunder! Yes, yes, maybe. Oh. Oh, choke flipped on, of course. Yes, yes, yes! Oh, yeah. It's running. It did run. It ran. Let me bottle feed it. The carb must be pretty gummed up. Boy, it wants more than that. It sounds good. Valve train sounds good. It must have built oil pressure immediately because I ain't hearing a peep out of the valve train. How come the idle circuit isn't working? There we go, maybe. I think that's it now. Let's see if it drank it all. Water pump's quiet, charging whirler's quiet. It sounds so good. I just want to keep doing this. We're obviously having fuel delivery issues. If it was going to pull for the tank, that would have already happened. There we go. It sounds pretty good. No, did it just switch to running off the pump? Oh, okay, I was gonna say, can't be that easy. Wow, it's alive, it runs, it sounds really good. It didn't knock, bang, the valve train was quiet. I did check the Earl, by the way, before I cranked on it, and it was full, but obviously we gotta address that at some point here. Darn, I was really hoping by some miracle it would pull fuel from the tank, but that's a shot of lungs, I'll tell you that much. Well, it still has vacuum hooked up, so it was moving. I was like, what's going on? Is that still working? No. It's squirting. I wonder. That's not it either. Oops. Could just be terrible gas. Wow, that's interesting development right there. The reason I kept doing that is the squirters are still squirting fuel. There's no way that it's still pulling fuel out of the bowl because we would have used that up on the idle circuit. So where's the fuel coming from? It may be coming from the tank. So what we're gonna do here is crack the fuel line right at the carb, and we're gonna crank it over again and see if it's spraying fuel. And if it is, that's fantastic news. The pump is working, the line isn't obstructed, but the fuel is unfortunately too bad if that was the case, because it's not even flammable, even though we just put 5 gallons in. So we'd have to drain it or just top it off and then hope that it works. But one step at a two-step. That's a dance. One step at a three steps at a time. Let's turn the blower motor off and see if the pump's pumping. Of course, it was smoking pretty good, but we had a bunch of Marvel Mystery Oil down it, plus we were using some 2-stroke fuel. But it's already kind of cleaning up, which is great to see. So this is what we're after right here. I'm gonna get a croissant wrench, not the right wrench. Grab onto that, grab this guy, knock it loose, and then when we crank it, if fuel is spurting out of this, then that means the fuel pump tucked way down in there. Oh, that's leaking and bad. So we actually know it is pumping. Oh, let's see if I can. Yeah, there you go. See that? Drip, 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 drip. That is in fact pumping, but we're gonna have to replace it, unfortunately, because that ain't gonna work for us. Boy, that's gonna be a bugger, ain't it? So a guy's still gonna check if this is pumping fuel. We know that the pump is bad, but if it's pumping or attempting to pump fuel, it's still a huge victory for us because there's no obstruction in the fuel line to the tank, which most often than not, the pickup tube is just full of varnish and other stuff. And these are not fun tanks to pull. Ask me how I know. I know. Okay. I know. What are we doing? Oh, fuel. All right, watch this guy right here. We're gonna look for fuel. Yep. Look at that. Wow. Okay, pump is still bad. No! Line isn't obstructed. Yes! Oh, that saves so much time. The fuel tank is really awkward and tucked up in here. All weird like. See, this is the spare tire. Here's the tank thing. Nightmare. Not goodly or fun in any way, shape, or form. So that could be a huge, huge bullet dodged. Well, unfortunately, guys got to run to town again. I wasn't kidding. I came with a little toolbox and a couple parts. But Chevy small block, we'll be able to figure something out pretty quickly. I was just thinking maybe we just put a clicky-clacky on it, throw a tube in a jug, but for one of the very few times, the fuel tank might work, which is great. So let me pack up, run back into town, try to get a fuel pump, and unfortunately I think this is going to be a mess. We probably have to remove the air conditioning compressor to even get to the pump because it's laid up against the control arm and cross member and meant for people with small hands. Perfect. Grand. The guy is back. I got the pump. Here it is. This is a 3-line devil, and apparently this is about near unobtainium anymore. This guy right here. So you've got feed to carb, inlet, and then vent. The small town I'm closest to, about, I don't know, what is that, half hour or something? Nobody had the pump. They had a universal Holley, and thought about putting a digital in it, but I want to do Freeda right. I want to put the original pump back in. O'Reilly's had it, of course, but the O'Reilly that I had to go to was about an hour away. So hour there, hour back, plus all the other dinking around. Here we are, late evening once again. Sun is going down over the hill. We do have some, are these T8s? I think so. We got some T8 bulbs above us. So we're going to work about as late as I can without disrupting the family here. I want to get this fuel pump in a minimum, but that's going to take some work. We got to dive right in. Let's get this AC compressor out of the way so a guy can not swim, but root. So we're going to recycle this, of course. You know what I mean? And then we got to loosen this, slide it down, take the belt off. Looks like a bolt here on the water pump, bolt on the face of the head, and then it shares a stud on the manifold down here. And if I can get those off and this off, we should be able to pull this, well, on this guy, we should be able to pull this out of the way completely so I can actually even see the fuel pump, which is hiding right down in there. We're going to probably try to attack it from this angle. So let's dig in, get her done. Support bracket bolt here and the ground for the compressor. And let's go ahead and unplug that. And the lines for the compressor. This will be empty, most likely. If not, we're recycling it in an improved fashion. Great, glad we agree. Okay. Get them loose and then just tickle. You gotta tickle them like that. You gotta get the seals off quickly. This one is definitely empty, so that just comes out of the way like that. That's gonna be a 5/8. Nice thing about GM, well, one of the many nice things, you build a whole rig with just a 7/16, 1/2 inch, and 5/8.
And I ain't even kidding you one bit. I ain't. Ask anybody. Okay, come down here. Lower bracketry bolt. I gotta loosen that up a little. Slide this down. Can a guy get the belt off? He can. That's gonna go over there. That's a big old green stripe belt, you know, the 9560. We're gonna keep that. Okay. Does this have something on the front, or is it got a nut built in? Let's find out. Someone should invent a ratchet that has a battery on it. You can just like pull a trigger and it takes these off quickly. That'd be pretty neat. Okay, spacer goes on this one. Fine thread, spacer. Okay, does that come out now? Can't be that easy. Yeah, I didn't think so. Probably a sleeve down. Oh, there we go. Okay, compressor out. I'm gonna set it on this random chair over here. Still can't see nothing. What is it? Okay, let's keep going. Need the 9/16 back. We're gonna dig into the head. So there's a two-piece bracket here. One comes off the WP, one comes off the manifold. Snag this right off the head here. Boop. This one comes out of the water pump. On the drinker side here. Ooh, that hose is not looking good. We're gonna have to address that while we're in here. Good catch, Derek. Well, thank you. I just happened to see it. I was thinking, well, everything's looking pretty good. And then I said, knock on balsa, and there it was. So I saw it. I know you did. What's your plan? I got one. Just wait, but we're gonna have to undo the clamp over here. Okay, well, I'll wait to hear what that is then. Let's see, long bolt is gonna be water pump. Face it that way. Put that bracket like that. Let's take this extension off. This is a lower support arm. Comes off the bottom of the block and extends up to this bracketry here, which is the bottom through bolt for the compressor. You know, the 38, 47, 16 bracket is what that is. Factory AC bracket. Okay, now manifold stud, it's on a bolt. Take this nut off. Okay, getting there. Beautiful. So that up there, this should slide off this way. There we go. Let's set that there. Boom. Kind of, sort of-ish. Barely see. Has this got juice in it? I think the lower rad might be. Lower radiator hose might be bad. So we do have some juice in here, and I was just confirming, we haven't built a ton of pressure yet, but this looks very, very suspect. And this is definitely gonna pop. So we're gonna have to deal with that. But for now, we have to get this fuel pump out. There's a bolt here, and then we've got the 3 lines on the bottom. The feed, the vent, and then this hard line should come off back here actually. Must swing underneath or something. and that comes up here into the quadrabog. So for now, I think I'm going to disconnect it right here and here, and I'll bend this tube back. We'll take the two bolts out, and I'm going to probably try to drop it out the bottom, but we'll see. We might have too much stuff in the way. I also need to unclamp this anyway at some point here. There we go. Free these up a little bit. There. Making some progress here. Small block Chevy fuel pumps are usually really easy. But this one, well, because it's a Corvette, and just jammed in here, right against the upper control arm and cross member. It's gonna be something. Got this unplugged, got both the lines unplugged, you can see down there. Now I'm working this one on with an extension, you know, one click at a time. And then I'm gonna have to do this one with the Jabberwocky, because I can't reach it. Then I gotta figure out if I can pull the pump up, or if I'm gonna try to drop it straight down and wrestle with undoing the hard line underneath there, or what. Because it's attached right now and I can't even see it from the bottom of the car with the steering and everything in the way. So that's also a thing. Fun. Well, I got her to knock free out of there, but it ain't coming up. There's a big whoop in that line. See the whoop? Whoop, where it is. Oh, wait. Oh, no, I don't think it will. Maybe. No. But anyway, that line down there is holding us up. Maybe the service manual says remove lower radiator hose as well for fuel pump removal, but I'm going to struggle with this. I'll probably have to drop it back down, sweep all this kitty litter up, try to get a croissant wrench and a 5/8 down there and knock this loose, and then have to redo all of it again. Finally got it out. Did have to drop it down through the bottom, laid it on the steering components and disconnected the steel line and then twisted it and popped it out. Became very evident I'm going to have to put these lines on first because I'm not going to get access to them. But here's another cool original piece. Original AC fuel pump, made it that long. This hole was spraying fuel. That's how you can tell it's bad. Here's the new one. I don't know, precision fuel pump. Pretty identical. This is a little bit different boss there, but no big deal. I do need to get this fitting off, thread that into there, and that's where that steel line kind of takes off. And then I am going to unhook these rubber lines, stretch them out, measure them, and put those on, and we're going to try to reverse the operation if possible, because that was a bear getting that thing out. I actually had to lay down here and fumble it out down through that. And there's that steel line laying right there. So that was interesting. Also, in the interest of science and saving time, I cracked a bleeder over here and nothing happened. It just coughed. So that's really good news. No, terrible. Trying to get this get up set right. Got new line on here. Now I'm just running some clampulators down on it. I'm going to try to hide the fixture at the clamp out of the way so it doesn't prohibit us from sliding it back into where it needs to go. This is a tight fit. That should work there. And we'll put this one on this way and hide this down here. Trick's going to be getting the new gasket on this without marring it up, and the hardware. Get my mitts back down in there. Hardware off's usually pretty easy. Hardware back on and getting threaded. Whoo! You know what I mean?
Then you got a project. Okay. Bench tested. Let's try to get it in. So if you can't see anything and you're confused as to what's going on, then we're on the same exact page at this juncture. Oh, was this like this? I think it was like this. Is what I'm gonna say. I'm not really sure. This might take a lot of extra effort to get this put in correctly and not just put a clicky-clacky in. But we'll see. Can't even get this started. That's the easy part. How did I have this? Well, help me understand. Had to have been something like that, right? Come on. Trying to help you here. Okay. Something is evidently not correct. Oh, I think it was on that side of the flange. That might be my problem. Approach angle is incorrect. Let's put some flaps on it. There we go. Ready to rotate. Okay, that seems pretty tight. Now, we gotta go up top and try to wrestle this in, which is really not gonna be fun, but let's get her done. Okay, got the lever in here and just wanted to take a minute and show you guys this because these are sometimes misunderstood and fought with. There's a rod in here that just freely moves between the fuel pump lever and the camshaft. There's just a little bore in there for it. And what happens sometimes is people try to put a fuel pump in when the rod is on top of the lobe. So it's pressed down with pressure. So when you try to put that lever in there, it's springing and pushing back on you. It makes it really difficult. If you're in that situation, just turn the engine over. With me, I just click, 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 click until it gets on the bottom of the lobe or the base. That rod will slide forward. Then I was able to just stick my finger in there. So there's the lever and there's the rod on top of it. So now that the fuel pump is on top, all I have to do is just push it in, put the hardware on it, we're good to go. I make that sound easy, but these are the 2 bolts here. It's going to be a battle royale, but we're getting there. Oh, so close. Steel lines obviously on it, and then I just got to find the rubber lines we pre-attached, flip them up, finagle them up on the frame rail somehow, and get those clamped into place. Guy finally just had to absolutely twist my arms in here from both sides, but got the lines up and connected. I believe the fuel pump is 100% in. Other than this, because I wanted to spin it over again and make sure we're pumping fuel with the new pump before we go any farther, then I'll plug this in. I decided not to put in the air compressor pump because I have a feeling on our ride home, if I can even find this lower hose, we're going to be replacing that. I am going to fix this one quick, and by fix, I mean we're going to cut it right there and just plug it right back in. And that should take care of that one. Look at that. You don't see that much anymore. We'll take this belt off, get it out of the way, and we'll be spinning this over here shortly, trying to see if our new pump is going to work fine and feed our fuel, make it happen, and see if we can get this idling for a few minutes. Maybe even do a pressure test on this hose now, see if it explodes, and then struggle to find it tomorrow
in the morning. Great. It is very, very late, but I'm wanting to hear this thing run tonight. And we're going to be struggling with brakes tomorrow, I believe, which sounds really fun. Nope. Oh boy, this could get really messy quick. So what I'm going to do here, because we're going to have to slide this on quickly, is actually make an incision the long way so I can make sure that I can get this off of there. Then I'm going to cut this, rip this off, and slide it back on. We're going to make a mess, but it should make the least mess. Oh, it's really messy down there. Come on. There we go. Right back on, and right back on, and we're going right. We're going to put it right back on, right back on. There we go. And tighten it up. Okay, and then we're also going to cut this off over here. I was going to try to save it, but we'd have to take off the power steering belt to get this off, and that's not going to happen. More progress here. Yep, I did go ahead and put the bracket try on for the AC pump for a couple of reasons. One, I'm going to forget. Two, I'm going to lose all of the hardware. Three, I kind of needed to, because one stud was for the manifold. Let's just go ahead and put that back. One bolt was for the water pump, the old WP water whirler. Might as well put that in there, and we can still get pretty good access to the lower rad hose that's going to blow off here. And I put the hardware into the compressor itself, so I know where that goes and everything there. Hopefully this is still good. At some point, you betcha we're going to try to get the AC to work, because you just have to have that down here to survive. Whoops, see, this is why we do this. I forgot this. Bring that down. That keeps that belt reverberation lower. Some of the older GM alternators, I think they call them high mount, they're kind of just hanging off out there all by themselves, and they just go to town out there. And I think this is what they were trying to prevent, was have some sort of front to back up high as well. Keep that from flopping around. Okay, now we should be able to try fuel. See if this thing is going to pump. There we go. Okay, it is in fact pumping. So I can plug that in, and we're back to seeing if we can get this thing to idle with a fuel pump that's not throwing fuel all over the ground. Oh, wait, is that one leaking already? No, I think that was just splashing down. Okay, now that everything is flammable, let's get the ignition on. You know what I mean?
Well, the guy didn't get to finish my thought earlier because the fuel pump went out on us, but I think we've got some pretty gnarly fuel make it happener issues here, because it was only running on the accelerator pump, and even though it was pumping fuel, it wasn't filling the bowl, which tells me the needle's stuck or the floats are stuck, one of the two. So let's try it here. Key is on. Hopefully it'll just fire and idle. Okay, it's doing that. But see? I have my suspicions it's not filling the bowl. Come on, knock loose. See, it's running out of shot. And empty. Yeah, the needle is stuck, or the float, or both. So, that means we're tearing into a quadrijet. Super extra fun. All right, no time to procrastinate. Let's just get after it. It's getting late, and I am running out of time. Well, we got the top popped off here. Taking a peek at her. Trying to do this without a kit, which is going to be really difficult. Needle did pop right out, goes in there. Float was not stuck, but look at this. That does not look good at all. And I'm sure it needs cleaned out. So let me just clean this up with a couple cans, see if we can get things moving freely in here, and try to reassemble this without a kit. Tonight we may have to get one from the parts store, which is going to hinder us even further in our hunt to get this thing running. I'd really like to have this going by tomorrow because I'm running out of time in my schedule. Always on the move to the next, but we'll see what we can do here. So here are the jets, plugged solid, both of them. Another reason it was only trying to run on the squirters. Oof da may. So we'll clean all of this out. I'm going to take this off. There's a filter in here. We'll make sure the inlet is nice and free. The needle is showing a little wear, but can it get us home? Probably, maybe, sort of, ish. Ain't perfect, but it's probably going to work. And it's flowing. And this is what those are supposed to look like. You can actually see through them. So now, reassembly without new parts and try not to break or bend anything. Fun. One tailgate quadrijet rebuild. Let's plop this thing back on. See if it helped us any. All right, gonna fill the ball again. Quadrijet's back on. I think I got all the hoses and doodads plugged in. Little man just came out here in his pajamas, hauling some pizza for me. Nice mannered young man. There's a new SpongeBob movie out. Learned about his baseball, and he went to ninja camp this summer. I didn't know that was a thing. Why didn't I get to go to ninja camp? Anyway, nice kid. Let's see if we get this filled up. Okay. Might take a couple tries, but oh, this looks like it ought to be plugged in to something. Did that go to this? But then where did that one go? Oh, down here. Found it. There we go. Okay. Come on now. Hits! Come on. I need you to just run. There you go. Come on. Come on. Come on. There we go. Stay running. Stay running. Stay running. Oh, long fought day. That's some terrible gasoline in it. Okay. Now we're gonna let this thing sit and run. Actually, I'm gonna pour the other 5 gallons of fresh gasoline I have into the tank so that can, you know, the best solution for pollution is dilution. Yeah. So I'm gonna pour in more better gasoline with the older ester gasoline. Let that mix. We're gonna let this chew, gonna let it warm up, make sure the head gasket's gasket, top off the ice cube juice. Things are looking up, but we still ain't got brakes. Okay, that's awesome. Oil pressure. It's charging and it's got good oil pressure. You can kind of hear when it starts chewing on some fresh gas. The idle will kind of pick up a little bit. Well, how do I? Yeah, I'm gonna need a funnel. Very, very smoky. Some of that is a marble in the rear, end up here. Some of it is the rings coming back around after years. 37 years sitting. Trying not to burn up my loan lift there. Throw some ice cube juice in here. Let's see if the thermostat's gonna open. We gotta check the go forward, go back machine pretty quick here. We wanna make sure there's something in there so we don't burn that pump out. All right, coolant is full. Here's the reg, perfect. This is gonna look low. Yep, that's low. Let's quick add to that. I got about a minute and 40 seconds left to clean air in here. Carbon monoxide is getting there. Gonna go ahead and put clutches in the transmission, I think. Just a preemptive strike. And by that, I mean clutches in a bottle, you know. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna dump a little bit of this in. Might even hear the torque converter bite. And dump this into here. Hear that picking up idle-wise? Getting some fresh gas. And what's left of my tailgate rebuild is kicking in. You know, delayed. Oh, didn't want to do that. As if it wasn't smoking enough in here. Goodness gracious. Okay, clutches are in. Now we'll shake this up and it'll turn this maple syrup into something we can just dump right in quick. See that? A little concerned about this puddle of ATF. Looks like the thermostat's trying to open. Or it did open. Trying. Want to keep that funnel in there. There's everything going on at once here. Just idled down. I think that torque converter is filling. Got some resistance on her. There we go. And I believe the thermostat just clacked open. Need a light. Dark in here. It is 0 dark 30. Come on now. Got some air in the system. There it goes. A lot of scale on that rad. But the thermostat opens. Okay. Let's go ahead and let that build pressure. Where did I put the cap earlier? Right here. Because we got to blow this lower rad hose off now. Right? Yeah. Check this now. Make sure this is clean. Yeah. Sometimes it takes a while when you put this stuff in. Good and accurate reading. It's still low. I think I got another quart yet somewhere. Oh, need more of this. Yep. I'm actually going to throw this into gear because look at that. Oh, will I go up though? It will. Passenger works as well. Speedy. I want to throw it into gear so we can get this transmission pumping. Reverse. Tried. There it goes. Reverse lights are on. Just that side. I think this side's locked up, quite honestly. Neutral. Drive. Yeah, this side ain't gonna be happy. Let me hit it with the axle tool. No way, is that working? It just broke free. Oh. You can see the mark where it was stuck. There, there, there. I just whacked the caliper like 15 times. No, it was like 5, but. Oh, that's great news. So now, we're gonna feed her some vitamin B12 right down the aisle. Try to clean up all that stuff we threw down the intake. Bogging deep. There we go. Tuned. Oh, we blew a bunch of junk out of the exhaust. The rest of it will go right on the tank. Definitely going to be touch and go until we get the why is the idle so weird? Until we get the old gas out of this. You know, there's over half a tank of it in here, so that's not helping us currently. Turn that idle screw up a little bit. It's coming back around. Well, let's just see if it fires up, actually. Look at that. Power windows are working. Power locks work because I locked myself out. Good thing I rolled the window down first. Anyway, it is, I think it's early morning at this point. I am going to shut it down. We still have, the transmission's shifting. I don't know if it's going to pull any weight, but there's no brakes. I was stomping on the brakes to see if it would stop the rear from spinning. Nothing. Opened a bleeder, pounded on them, didn't even get any fluid out, so I can't bleed them myself. I think the rubber lines are constricted. You guys have heard me say this many, many, many times. So I'm going to dig through some boxes. I did order some parts for brakes. See if they're even remotely close. But as far as wrenching goes tonight, I'm going to call it. We'll see you guys in the morning. It's the last day to try to get this thing on the road and back home. See you then. Well, good morning. Another day on Freeda, the 78 Corvette here. Trying to get this thing running and driving and get it home on the road. Have got it running, but now we're down to brakes. I really got to get this wrapped up quickly. Another hot one today down south. I ain't kidding you. Speaking of hot, the engine is finally cooled from running it quite a bit yesterday. So now is a perfect time to drop this old oil and put some fresh oil in it and an oil filter. I'm going to start there so we can cross that off the list. And then we've got to dive in. Master cylinder, calipers, lines. It's going to be really, really fun. So here's something interesting. I'm seeing orange under the corporate blue. So could this engine have been replaced at some point? I don't think that's... Yeah, it's not a magnetic drain plug. And it looks like an AC Delco filter, which is great. Potentially STP, but probably AC. So I'll drop that out and get a Wix in quick. And then we'll go on the top side. Top side bay 2! Oh yeah, still just me. And we'll have nice fresh oil on this thing for hopefully the trip home. Fingers crossed. Ouch. Hands cramping. Fingers crossed. So this is really cool and even more proof that this old 78 Corvette's been sitting 37 years. We found AC plugs, an old AC oil filter. That's really cool. Thinking about cleaning it up actually and putting it on the shelf at home. But let's come up top here, throw something in. Yeah. This time we're going with the old Valvoline VR1. This is actually made for classic cars and race cars, they say, but basically it's got about 1,200 parts per million in it, zinc and phosphorus. So if you got something with a hydraulic flat tappet cam, this is the juice you should consider. It's very good for it. You don't need to spend extra money on additives and worry if you got enough and you can actually add too much. We're gonna go with this time. Drink up, little buddy. Worried about the radiator being plugged up. Yesterday I noticed the upper rad hose collapsing a little bit. Not goodly. That one's also not in the best shape either. Okay, I see the spicy flies are back. Buzzing around again. Okay, that is done. We should do a cold start this morning, see how it likes just firing up from asleep. This is just for giggles more than anything. Also, the oil that came out was very thin. It was probably 1030. Now we've got 2050, so I kind of want to see what oil pressure it builds. Okay. Oh, quadrijet, let's pump it, get the choke on. Pump it again. There we go. Oh yeah, it's way up there now. About 50. A lot less smoke. Smoother. good enough. That's all the time we have for that. It makes noise out the tailpipes. Brakes. Where do we start? Probably a master cylinder. Is this one of them? Yep. Is it close? Sure-ish. Does it have the same bore? Why not? Let's dig in. We're out of time. We don't have any more time for this. Moving forward straightly with haste. We got to get this guy out of here. Just got a nut here, nut over here, and then of course our lines. Just have to be careful that when we're taking these off, we're not twisting the line with it. I thought ahead for once, believe it or not, and I juiced these up last night. You can actually see the remnants and also the lines underneath. Hoping that that's going to help me today, probably not. Going to take a hammer and just tap on these lines. If there's any rust in there, that'll break that seat or connection. We'll juice them again and slowly try to back these out. We're going to get this bled, this guy here, and put in first. And then we'll worry about this nightmare. If we run into issues, maybe we can get away with just a new master cylinder. Nope, these calipers are going to be frozen. Okay, let's move on. Don't know where my 5/8 went, but as Mark Chestnut says, I'll think of something. Oh, well, there it is. See, thought of it. Anyway, little tappy tap on the lines. Nothing major. We're not doing body work. Okay, tappy tap's complete. Juice. Okay, now, easy. Sometimes I like to give it a swift hit. Okay, got that one. It started to take the line at first, and then it gave up the ghost. Come on, let's do this. Got it. Victorious. You know, you do about 1,897 of these. You learn some tricks along the way. I should say techniques. Tricks are for kids, as my friend would say. Okay. These can be rebuilt if you have patience or you're on an extreme budget. You can pull these apart and try to rebuild them. But these reman units are coming so cheap now. They're hard to resist. Where's my paper? I'll tell you. $28. So rebuild kit's probably 22. What's your time worth? I don't know. I'm just asking you. Working these lines out on the side here. I'll think of something. I think they got some piano in that song. Oh, felt great. That side's loose. Perfect. Let me work these nuts off and we'll pull that out of the way. Oh, she wants it to come out. Look at that. Now, is the rod stuck into the back of this? Or is it a free floater where it'll just separate? There's a question for the ages. I can't remember. I don't think it's attached. I don't think there's a clip on this one. There's a locking mechanism on some GM. Okay. Nice. Oh yeah, shot. So if you look in the back of this, we can see fluid residue. Come in closer, get your head in here. You can see fluid in the bottom of that bore. And that's from the seal being shot. So as it was building pressure, it was coming out the back actually and escaping instead of leaving the lines here. So could it have worked? Potentially. But we just saved ourselves time by jumping in and getting after it. Okay, we need to bench bleed this, which means we need to firmly mount it on the bench. Here we go. Stop doing it that way, guys. You got to put this on anyway, right? You need something to firmly hold it, correct? Here it is. You need a rod to push it to bench bleed it. Guess what? It's already in there. And it's conveniently hooked to a pedal that you just push with your leg, okay? Bleed them on the rig. Save yourself the time. I always think new master cylinders look so funny on old cars. Because, you know, it's shiny. Should have drug this around the yard in the gator. Kind of classed her down a little bit. The whoa upper is installed, and I do have some juice in it, but we are going to wait on bleeding this until I've got all the parts replaced that I can, and then we'll come back to this. The reason I filled it up is just sitting here like this with the caps off, it will actually work some air out of it. In fact, you can see one of the bubbles right there. So as we're working, this will escape a little bit of air for us, give us a head start. And then I'll show you a super easy way to do this in the rig. We're gonna move on to replacing these rubber lines, most likely gonna be collapsed. Oh, is that a DOT sticker? That's nice. Not from a four-wheeler, says Corvette. So we need to separate the lines there, pull that clip off, and we're gonna leave it attached to the caliper because we're gonna take the whole caliper assembly off and replace it. I don't know why, but I did not get front discs. I don't think. These don't look terrible bad. They're pretty shiny. I do have some sandpaper. We'll scuff them up a little bit, but 10-15 stops. Those will look brand new. Okay? Okay. We're going to dig in right here. Now a trick here, if you know you're replacing the line anyway, you can cut the line, put a socket, deep well socket on this end, vice grip the top, and then you're screwing the bottom out of the top. So the jam nut doesn't need to turn around the line. So you don't risk losing your line. Now I'm gonna try to take it off the real way first, just because if I start twisting this with it, then I'll stop, slice this off, and go for it. The only downside to that is you really have to commit then to replacing this line. Make sure you have it and everything like that. Ours plugs in right here. I believe this pin needs to come out after we get it off. Well, actually it doesn't. It just takes the pads with it. So I think we just have this bolt here and a bolt down here. This whole assembly can just come off. Hopefully I can get this knocked out in just 5 to 8 minutes here. By the who and weighing out some more, started getting some drips out of the master cylinder, so it has filled the piston bore and everything. So I came back and threw the plugs in for now. And that is ready to bleed when we get back to that point. Straight to the best tool ever made. Got her clamped on really tight. Some of them, most all of them, have a provision on the end. You can give them some extra heat, but I'm getting pretty good at just twisting these down and just giving it. So you want to shock these too. Quick little taps will usually break this free more than just slowly rounding it off. Yes! Got it. Okay. I think let's just complete this whole side first, then we'll move over to the drinker side. Well, the guys got these two bolts out. One down here, one up here. So yeah, I'm not sure why you take this cross pin out that holds the pads there. We'll probably assemble it the same way. There's the whole unit. Lots of life left on the pads. Must have had a brake job pretty near close to when it was parked or something. Wheel bearings sound great. No issue there. Oh, you thought I was joking. Turning disc, turning on. Turning them counterclockwise. Turning them clockwise now. really getting the treatment. Oh yeah, these will be just fine. Hotter than Satan's armpit in Tennessee. Boom, 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 boom. Brake job. Essentials. Ooh, fresh cut on my hand. Ask me how I know. Man, these look great. Okay. Oh. Got this one all assembled. New slide pin, pads, and lines already installed. Now, if you're having issues up here on the nut, you wouldn't necessarily install your line. So you might have to work the line around the caliper. Like if it was attached up there, you might have to twirl your caliper around the line. Let's see. Nice simple design. Remember the fight we had on that F-250, that green one, with the brakes? That's an example of a terrible design. What in the devil was that about? Driver's side is done. Over here on the captain's side, this one is putting up a fight. Before I get to cutting that off, I'm gonna try some heat, but I gotta be careful in here. We got webs and grass and a bunch of chemicals I spilled yesterday. So I shouldn't be doing that. But I'd like to get a little heat in here. And see if we can knock this loose. So this is what I was talking about. These have been around for decades. Put a wrench on the end or some way to do that. There we go. Heat did the trick. Oh, I gotta loosen it. So same thing, rinse and repeat on this side. 2 bolts, knock the whole thing off. I've already got this one assembled and ready. And we gotta move on to bleeding the master cylinder. And then eventually the calipers. Oh, the rears, you ask. Yeah, there they are. They're still there. Look good. Doing great. Keep doing that. All right. Both sides are done. Rotors turned. New calipers, new pads, new soft rubber lines. That's looking good. Now it's time to bleed the system, but we got to start by bleeding the master cylinder. I'm going to do that with this little rinky-dinky kit. They sell at O'Reilly, cheap. And basically it's this hose kit. You just jam these in the fittings, one there, one there. Stick this in your reservoir, and then all you got to do is just slowly pump the brake pedal. You force the air out, it comes into the reservoir, comes to the top, it sucks good fluid back, and you keep doing that until no more bubbles come out. Once that's done, we'll go ahead and jam these lines on, and then we'll move on to bleeding the calipers. So the lines are plugged in, and then I'm using the best tool ever to just try to squeeze these together gently. I guess I could put a little more heat on.
we don't want to close that off. There we go. And that'll hold this hose down in there. We're going to add a little bit more juice because initially it's going to fill these lines. All right, let's start pumping. Get this bled. See those bubbles? Nice and slow. Don't have to jam it or anything like that. So that's all bled, and you can see some old fluid. That's because I've got the lines hooked up once again. And in that little rinky-dink kit comes this bottle. So now you just take one of those lines, jam it into there. We're going to push the air out into the bottle, and it's going to draw the new fluid in that I put in the bottom of the bottle, back and forth, basically until we have no air bubbles. Same thing we just did with the master cylinder here. Been at her for a while now. The old leg's burning. Gonna have the old Michael Jackson leg. Anyway, see how it's got solid line fluid all the way around. All the air bubbles is out. That's full. This one's done. Shut the valve, move to the other side, empty out the old fluid, which we've now flushed out of the line essentially. And we're just going to start over into the other side, and we should be good on the front. So that's the drinker side over there. See them bubbles coming up. Lots of air there. Well, I finished doing that, but I didn't like the way the pedal felt still, so I'm now gravity bleeding. Just crack the bleeder and walk away one at a time and let gravity do its thing. It'll work the air out that's remaining. These are big juice boxes, so it might take a little bit. In the meantime, I'm going to be cleaning up. Forgot to show you guys this yesterday. All of this stuff came out of the exhaust. There's a mouse house in there. I got to clean all this stuff up throughout here. Well, it's time for tires and wheels once again. Can't change the wheels on this. It looks great on these original units, but we needed a better size tire. And these are, what did I go with? 245, 60, 15. And then, of course, you got to go white letter out. Come on. These are Master Craftices. Sure. They look like the Koopa Cobras. A little cheaper, I think. Uh-oh. We got to jackalate this up a little bit. Get my caliper freer upper bar. Install that into the hydraulic back assist. There's only 4 approved jacking points in this whole car. Everything else just bends. Like that. Boom. Yeah, that's gonna look better. Ugh. Missing one. It's gotta be around here somewhere. Brake pedal is nice and firm. What center cap is this? I think a guy could fit 255s on the rear. But I didn't want to take any chances, so I just kept it easy and all the same. You know, can a guy just get home?
is what I'm saying. First stop, drive-through car wash. See what that does to this thing. Be pretty fun to see the transformation and how well it cleans. And we'll get some miles down, get some fresh fuel in it a few times. Easy but faster, but easier but slow, and easy but faster. Okay. Oh, looks so much better. How dare I lean the broom on that? Back down on the ground. There we go. Much better. Tires aren't so dorky tall. A little bit wider. Air cleaner's on, everything's picked up. I think we're good to fire this up again. We could do a brake check, transmission check, now that's on the ground. Pick up a few more things and I think we could just hit the road here. Yep, yep. Huh. Yep. First time I've sat in that, I think. Oh. We've got a fuel delivery issue. Oh no. I think I know what that is. Pickup screen plugged. Oh, thought we got lucky on that one, but I think it bit us in the behind at the last minute. We were ready to go. Well, let's tear back into it. What else are we gonna do? Mope about it? Ain't got time for that. Let's see if we got fuel. So one of two things here. Pickup screen is plugged or the tube itself. After sitting all night with fresh fuel and running it yesterday and agitating the tank, or there's a slim possibility I've made a mistake and the line that I used relaxed overnight and kinked down there. So I'm taking the bolt out of the bracket here, gonna move the steel line up and back and see if I can make more gentle turns. Fresh pump and all, that might be squeezing that line closed. Let's try that first. It's the easiest of the two scenarios, and then I'll come up with a plan here. Okay, I got the line relaxed. Oh, that's great news. Best case scenario. Well, with any luck, we won't have to open this hood again today. Huh. Okay. Tack works. Brake on, quick neutral. Drive. Yes! Reverse. Gonna need some power steering. First time moving under its own power, 37 years. What's a weird clunk there? What was that? CV shaft? Man, let's clean this glass up and hit the road. We got some miles to put down. It's already late afternoon. Oil pressure's great, it says it's charging. Full tank, the clock doesn't work, which is really disappointing. Ow! Gotta figure out the CB radio too. We got time. Lights? No. Okay, noted. Oh, I'm so glad we're not dropping the fuel tank right now. Let's clean that glass. Where'd my, didn't I have some glass cleaner juice? Wow, what did I do with that? It's back here. There it is. Visible. Okay. Just gonna make mud. I guess I could have wiped a lot of this off first. Couldn't have I? Could have. Oh, we only got about, I don't know, what is it? Half hour, 45 minutes, something. I don't know. To the town with the washing machine. It's pretty good. There we go. Good enough. Good enough. I gotta throw my toolbox in there. No, I didn't forget. We're gonna go with pina coladas because I wish I was on a beach somewhere drinking. You know what I mean? Okay. I think we are ready. Gonna move my truck out of the way. We're gonna drive it out of the barn. Was just climbing out and found this one with numbers on it still. This is really cool. 57,240 miles in 1982. That means when it was parked in 1987, it only had another 3,340 miles put on. 3,000 miles in 5 years, and then it was parked. This thing is just a cream puff. January of 78, manufacture date. All right, we're gonna take her just nice and easy here. Shake this thing down, let everything come back into working order. Power steering, transmission, rear end. So far, so good. We're gonna take the back roads today, try to stay off the interstate. Best way to travel, avoid highways. Can't beat it. Already getting some miles down on the Corvette here. It's shifting perfectly. 1, 2, 3, no issues, no hesitation. It's driving straight. Power steering is screaming at me. We can stop and fix that pretty quick. All of the vitals look good except the temp gauge isn't working. So I'm doing 50 right now because the minimum is probably 40 or 45.
just like to slowly bring these things out of a slumber. I don't like to jam them on the highway at 70 right away. We're cruising about 2200 RPM. Just gonna ease this into this town down here. They have one of those fancy pull-through washes or whatever, and see if this thing can get rinsed off and see what we can do there. And then probably should put some fuel in it, or maybe we'll go a little bit farther. We're doing okay-ish on fuel, about 3/4 tank right now. And hopefully, knock on wood, everything keeps going well. Horn doesn't work. Can't believe the power windows do. Didn't take the tops off because if we break the seal, those are going to leak horrendously in the wash. Guarantee that. There's another Corvette. Feel like I should have had the New Balances on. They do fit the footwell much better. Well, we made it into town to this fancy pants wash here. Wanted to get one last look at it, the way it sat, and wanted to pop the hood and just check things over. We got a lot of mouse droppings and leftovers cooking off, oil cooking off. Just looking for leaks, fuel leaks, anything really detrimental. That lower rad hose is somehow hanging in there. Remember, that can explode at any time. That would shut us down. Now, I should try to find a parts store along the way, just in case. But let's go run it through this wash, automatic wash, and see what this thing looks like when it comes out the other end. A lot of the dirt is blown off, but we'll see. It's going to be hot with the windows up. We've got a technical error. I pulled up to the gate and it opened. The lady came out and said, "You must have a VIP wash pass." And I says, "Lady, look at this car. I don't wash my cars very often." She says, "Well, it's scanning something in your vehicle. It says you got things." So now she's talking to someone, seeing if I can get a free wash, I guess. Huh. Maybe there's a wash tag in here that somehow went into the future and does the beep boops on the gate for the machine. I have no idea. But the biggest wash here was $28. I don't like that. Well, they talked about it and they said if the gate opened, I can't back up, so I'm getting a free wash. Things are looking up. We'll take that money and throw it towards the lower radiator hose, hopefully, and some PS fluid. He's pre-soaking this. He said it looks like it's been a while. 37 years. Hopefully that dirt comes off the back window. Sometimes that actually like stains the glass. It takes like steel wool, quad zero steel wool to get it off, but we'll see what happens here. The high idle for some reason kicked back on. It won't kick off. So I might shut this off in the car wash so it doesn't get hot, but then we have to risk, will it actually start again coming out of the car wash? But I don't want to overheat this thing in there and not have anywhere to go. So once we get on the track and it starts pulling us, my eyelids are leaking. It is hot. I'm all shimmery. I look like them bodybuilders all oiled up coming on stage. This guy thinks I have issues. Well, I mean, I do. Let's be honest. Now the kid's got a scrubber out on a brush. That's honestly what it needs, so that's pretty nice, actually. They don't usually have this service anymore. I gotta roll the window down. I can't hardly breathe. It's getting hot in here. Okay, I shut it off. Oh, finally, someone heavy on the foam and the soap. Green, yellow, pink. Kind of claustrophobic in here. Dome lights, oh, the key's on, that's why. I don't want the wheel to lock up though. Scrubby whirly doodads, pretty standard issue, not impressed. The shape of the roof in the back is going to be interesting to see if that gets licked up or not. More foamage. right here. Pretty much skimmed right over it. I don't know what that was. We got laser beams and foamy. No, this is like rinse free maybe. Hey, wait a minute. Nothing leaked at all. Anywhere. That's got to be a record for a C3. Honestly. Write that down. Well, let's start again. Fired right up. Did not get clean. Real nice guy. Said, run her again. This dirt's stuck on there. It seems like it's been on there a while. I don't know. I say it's standard barn dirt. So we're going through again, and then that's it for me because I am in the midst of heat stroke currently. We'll see what it looks like, and then we got to get some miles down. Well, this finally leaked, but the T-tops didn't, which is remarkable. Wow, a lot better. Got a little shine on her. Makes me nervous now. Yeah, the paint, oofda. Looking good. All right, let's hit the road. First fuel stop here. I know you guys are getting tired of hearing me say this, but you've got to take the back roads. I've been through this area a few times, closely-ish, and this time I took an even way backest road because I didn't want to be on the same stuff, and I'm glad I did. I went through some amazing roads. Some of them are gravel, some of them 2-lane, but they were gorgeous, just beautiful. Plus, you can support small businesses like this one. They've got 87 octane pure gas, which is good. I was kind of hoping for 93, just so we can spruce up the fuel tank here, but we got a tank out of it, so fresh gas is better than the old gas. Yeah, any gas is better than the old gas. Fill it up, look for leaks again, keep putting miles down. Car's doing great. Engine's running good. Oh no, I lost the lid. It was on there. No issues. We're still burning a bunch of stuff off. There's stuff flying out of the cowl, but it's getting cleaner. Ooh, sparkulator. Fan clutch is doing pretty good. Water pump seems to be doing the deal. The lower rad hose is somehow hanging in there. I think I'm gonna try to find a parts store here along the route, grab that. And also if we can reach the power steering magically somehow, that would be nice, because that is whining as well. Brakes are doing great. There's no shimmies or shakes. Front end's nice and tight. Pretty fairly low mile car, so there's a random clunk every now and then, but I think that's just a C3 thing. I don't know. I've owned, I don't know, close to 24 of these. They all kind of seem to do the same thing. So let her fill up, and we're gonna close this down, call it good enough. Gotta have some jerky. There we go. Back up to full. Let's hit her. Well, one of these. There we go. Okay, next town down the road, or next bigger town that had an O'Reilly. Let's run in here, get some PS fluid, see if they got a lower rad hose, and get on the road. It's sun's coming down, we ain't got headlights, and that's a whole nother beeswax and balls of stuff and more things to do. Well, they had a cajillion uppers, but the lower molded is at the DC, so they could get it in the morning. We're going to try to roll without it. If we find another one on the way or another parts store, we'll stop. Check that out. Forgot to tell you about my truck. Some of you might be a little confused. Well, what did you do with that thing? Well, I left it. It's actually really easy. It's my friend's place, so I just left it there. And at some point or another, when he's back in town, I'll make the trip back down there. It's fine. I backed it right into the barn where this was actually. Left the keys in it if they need to use it or move it or whatever. No big deal. You just got to figure out unique ways to get these rigs home, and we'll scoop that up at some point. It'll be a good excuse to go back down there, and I don't know. Maybe we'll go fishing or something in my free time. No, that'll never happen. Anyway, I got some power steering repair juice and my 19th Flexolite funnel on this trip, because you can't get to it otherwise. So let's fill this up, see if that wine goes away. There you go, right down the hatch. I need more of the red juice, not so much of the other one. The foil's all messed up. There we go. Give me more of the repair side. Let's repair whatever was leaking. Do. There we go. They didn't really build in good places to set stuff on this rig. And then, I think just a splash more. Splash. That ought to do it. See if this fixed the problem. Yep. Well, that's good. The pump isn't bad. It was just low. Oh, that's great news. Sometimes these stick. There we go. Man, the power steering's like butter. So really the only thing that doesn't work is the clock, the temp gauge, cruise control. All really optional things. The radio does work. I flipped it over to radio mode. Working my way up. We're getting close to the Alabama-Tennessee border. Weather's beautiful. Nice day to be cruising a C3. This is great. So now that we've been driving it for a while, I'm going to jam this thing on the interstate and start picking up the speed a little bit. Try to click off some miles a little bit faster here. Stop for late supper here. The Corvette is doing really good actually, but it is, I think it has 370 rear axle, which is kind of weird because that was reserved for the manuals, I believe. But 3,000 RPM at 65. I don't really like that much, so I've been cruising like 50, 55 to 60, somewhere around there. That's a lot of RPM for an engine that's been asleep for 37 years. I mean, that rear main's probably tougher than a chili steak, so we gotta let things just come back around, you know, slowly. Sun's dipping down over the hill here in a few minutes, I have a feeling. But we're going to stay off the interstate because of that rear gear and the RPM, and I like the back roads better, so we're just going to go this way and find some 2-lane blacktop, see what Tennessee has to offer. We're getting close to home though, and the car's doing just wonderful.
The C3 Corvette pulled itself home after 37 years dormant. This thing was parked in the 80s. Some of you weren't even alive yet. And it said, sure, throw some gas in me, let's go. Car drove beautifully all the way home. Had a bunch of thumbs up, high fives, people chatting at the gas stations. They love the C3s. I fit in this one a little bit different for some reason. More, better, good? I don't know. That was kind of odd. Everything works in it other than a few small things, but it was a nice ride overall. Beautiful drive back home. Had a great time there wrenching on it. Give me some ideas. What do you want to see with this car? What should we do? Bleep bloop that down there in the comments section. I'll swing through there and take a look. Thanks guys for watching. I appreciate you so very much. Hey, please subscribe. It's free, no obligation. Just click the button. And we'll see you next Friday.